If a vessel is approaching another vessel from behind in clear visibility, so the stern light of the forward vessel should be visible at night. In other words, within the theoretical sector of the stern light of the forward vessel. Then it is considered as an overtaking vessel, and it must give way in all circumstances until the overtaking vessel is finally passed and clear. Subsequent alterations of course will not alter the category of the overtaking vessel or the obligations of keeping clear. If in any doubt whether you are an overtaking vessel, always assume you are overtaking, and keep clear of the other vessel. Rule 13. Overtaking. Rule 13. Overtaking. A. Notwithstanding anything contained in the rules of Part B, Sections 1 and 2, any vessel overtaking any other shall keep out of the way of the vessel being overtaken. B. A vessel shall be deemed to be overtaking when coming up with another vessel from a direction more than 22.5 degrees abaft her beam, that is, in such a position with reference to the vessel she is overtaking that at night she would be able to see only the stern light of that vessel, but neither of her side lights. C. When a vessel is in any doubt as to whether she is overtaking another, she shall assume that this is the case, and act accordingly. D. Any subsequent alteration of the bearing between the two vessels shall not make the overtaking vessel a crossing vessel within the meaning of these rules, or relieve her of the duty of keeping clear of the overtaken vessel until she is finally passed and clear. When two power-driven ships are approaching each other in clear visibility, where each sees the other dead ahead or nearly dead ahead and on opposite courses, a head-on situation, both shall alter course to starboard. If there is doubt about the situation, it shall be assumed that it is a head-on situation, and act accordingly. Rule 14. Head-on situation. Rule 14. Head-on situation. A. When two power-driven vessels are meeting on reciprocal or nearly reciprocal courses so as to involve risk of collision, each shall alter her course to starboard, so that each shall pass on the port side of the other. B. Such a situation shall be deemed to exist when a vessel sees the other ahead or nearly ahead, and by night she could see the masthead lights of the other in a line or nearly in a line, and or both side lights, and by day she observes the corresponding aspect of the other vessel. C. When a vessel is in any doubt as to whether such a situation exists, she shall assume that it does exist, and act accordingly. In case of a crossing situation between two power-driven vessels in clear visibility, and when there is a risk of collision, the one that has the other on its starboard side shall keep clear of the other vessel and avoid crossing ahead of her. Rule 15. Crossing situation. Rule 15. Crossing situation. When two power-driven vessels are crossing so as to involve risk of collision, the vessel which has the other on her own starboard side shall keep out of the way, and shall, if the circumstances of the case admit, avoid crossing ahead of the other vessel. Give way vessel. When a vessel has to keep clear of another, it must take action in good time, and make the action a large one so it is obvious to the other vessel. Stand-on vessel. Where two vessels are meeting and one has to keep clear, the other will be the stand-on vessel and should maintain its course and speed. However, when it is clear that the give-way vessel is either not taking appropriate action or not doing enough to prevent a collision, then the stand-on vessel may take some action to keep out of the way of the other. However, in this situation, the stand-on vessel should avoid an alteration of course to port. Later, when the two vessels are very close and any action by the give-way vessel won't be sufficient on its own, then the stand-on vessel must take suitable action to avoid a collision. Rule 16. Action by give-way vessel. Rule 17. Action of stand-on vessel. Rule 16. Action by give-way vessel. Every vessel which is directed to keep out of the way of another vessel shall, so far as possible, take early and substantial action to keep well clear. Rule 17. Action by stand-on vessel. A. 1. Where one of two vessels is to keep out of the way, the other shall keep her course and speed. 2. The latter vessel may, however, take action to avoid collision by her manoeuvre alone, as soon as it becomes apparent to her that the vessel required to keep out of the way is not taking appropriate action in compliance with these rules. B. when from any cause the vessel required to keep her course and speed finds herself so close that collision cannot be avoided by the action of the give-way vessel alone, she shall take such action as will best aid to avoid collision. C. A power-driven vessel which takes action in a crossing situation in accordance with subparagraph A(2) of this rule to avoid collision with another power-driven vessel shall, if the circumstances of the case admit, not alter course to port for a vessel on her own port side. D. This rule does not relieve the give-way vessel of her obligation to keep out of the way. Rule 17. Action by stand. In clear visibility, a power-driven vessel under way shall keep out of the way of a vessel not under command, a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver, a vessel engaged in fishing, a sailing vessel. In clear visibility, a vessel engaged in fishing when under way shall, so far as possible, keep out of the way of a vessel not under command, a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver, in clear visibility, any vessel other than a vessel not under command or a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver shall normally avoid impeding the safe passage of a vessel constrained by her draft. In clear visibility, a seaplane on the water shall, in general, keep well clear of all vessels. However, where risk of collision does develop, vessels are also obliged to take suitable action. Wigcraft would behave as any other power-driven vessel when operating on the surface, but keep clear of other vessels when in flight, taking off and landing. Rule 18, A to C. Power-driven, sailing, fishing. Rule 18, D. Constrained by draft. Rule 18, E and F. Seaplanes and wigcraft. Rule 18. Responsibilities between vessels, except where Rules 9, Narrow Channel, 10, TSS, and 13, Overtaking, otherwise require. A. A power-driven vessel under way shall keep out of the way of 1. A vessel not under command, 2. A vessel restricted to her ability to maneuver, 3. A vessel engaged in fishing, 4. A sailing vessel. B. A sailing vessel under way shall keep out of the way of 1. A vessel not under command, 2. A vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver, 3. A vessel engaged in fishing. C. A vessel engaged in fishing when under way shall, so far as possible, keep out of the way of 1. A vessel not under command, 2. A vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver. Rule 18, D. Constrained by draft. D. 1. Any vessel other than a vessel not under command or a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver shall, if the circumstances of the case admit, avoid impeding the safe passage of a vessel constrained by her draft, exhibiting the signals in Rule 28. 2. A vessel constrained by her draft shall navigate with particular caution, having full regard to her special condition. Rule 18, E and F. Seaplanes and wig craft. E. A seaplane on the water shall in general keep well clear of all vessels, and avoid impeding their navigation. In circumstances, however, where risk of collision exists, she shall comply with the rules of this part. F. 1. A wig craft shall, when taking off, landing, and in flight near the surface, keep well clear of all other vessels, and avoid impeding their navigation. 2. A wig craft operating on the water surface shall comply with the rules of this part as a power-driven vessel. When a ship is navigating in or near an area of restricted visibility, the speed should be adjusted to a safe speed to suit the prevailing visibility, and the engine should be ready to maneuver. When detecting another vessel by radar and a close-quarter situation or a risk of collision is developing, the vessel should take early and substantial action, but avoid taking the following actions. Turning to port for a vessel forward of the beam, except when overtaking. Turning towards a vessel abeam or abaft the beam. In case of any uncertainty of another vessel's movement, and if a fog signal is heard ahead, then a vessel should reduce its speed to a minimum to keep steerage, or even stop and take all way off the vessel, and afterwards proceed with great caution. Rule 19. Conduct of vessels in restricted visibility. Rule 19. Conduct of vessels in restricted visibility. A. This rule applies to vessels not in sight of one another when navigating in or near an area of restricted visibility. B. Every vessel shall proceed at a safe speed adapted to the prevailing circumstances and conditions of restricted visibility. A power-driven vessel shall have her engines ready for immediate maneuver. C. Every vessel shall have due regard to the prevailing circumstances and conditions of restricted visibility when complying with the rules of Section 1 of this part. D. A vessel which detects by radar alone the presence of another vessel shall determine if a close-quarter situation is developing and or risk of collision exists. If so, she shall take avoiding action in ample time, provided that when such action consists of an alteration of course, so far as possible, the following shall be avoided. 1. An alteration of course to port for a vessel forward of the beam, other than for a vessel being overtaken. 2. an alteration of course towards a vessel abeam or abaft the beam. E. Except where it has been determined that a risk of collision does not exist, every vessel which hears apparently forward of her beam the fog signal of another vessel, or which cannot avoid a close-quarter situation with another vessel forward of her beam, shall reduce her speed to the minimum at which she can be kept on her course. She shall, if necessary, take all her way off, and in any event navigate with extreme caution until danger of collision is over. The rule is very easy to understand and needs no explanation. Therefore, this is a direct quote from the rules. 1. The following signals, used or exhibited either together or separately, indicate distress and need of assistance. A. A gun or other explosive signal fired at intervals of about a minute. B. A continuous sounding with any fog signalling apparatus. C. Rockets or shells throwing red stars fired one at a time at short intervals. D. A signal made by radiotelegraphy or by any other signalling method consisting of the group ... SOS in the Morse code. E. A signal sent by radiotelephony consisting of the spoken word Mayday. F. The international code signal of distress indicated by NC. G. A signal consisting of a square flag having above or below it a ball or anything resembling a ball. H. Flames on the vessel, as from a burning tar barrel, oil barrel, etc. I. A rocket parachute flare or a hand flare showing a red light. J. A smoke signal giving off orange-coloured smoke. K. Slowly and repeatedly raising and lowering arms outstretched to each side. L. A distress alert by means of digital selective calling, DSC, transmitted on 1. VHF channel 70 or 2. MF/HF on the frequencies 2187.5 kHz, 8414.5 kHz, 4207.5 kHz, 6312 kHz, 12577 kHz, or 16804.5 kHz. M. A ship-to-shore distress alert transmitted by the ship's Inmarsat or other mobile satellite service provider ship earth station. N. Signals transmitted by emergency position indicating radio beacons. O. Approved signals transmitted by radio communication systems, including survival craft radar transponders. 2. The use or exhibition of any of the foregoing signals, except for the purpose of indicating distress and need of assistance, and the use of other signals that may be confused with any of the above signals, is prohibited. 3. Attention is drawn to the relevant sections of the International Code of Signals, the Merchant Ship Search and Rescue Manual, and the following signals. A. A piece of orange-coloured canvas with either a black square and circle or other appropriate symbol for identification from the air. B. A dye marker. Let it go, make my body go, make our bodies high.